This episode is brought to you by EFG Holding, a trailblazing financial institution with a universal bank in Egypt and the leading investment bank in the Middle East and North Africa. Hi, everyone. Welcome again to What I Did Next from A&T Media. I'm your host, Malak Fuad. I sit down with a new guest each month and we take a deep dive into their lives' most pivotal moments. On today's episode, award-winning film director Omar Hilal tells me about his life's twists and turns and what led him to make his first movie, Voy Voy Voy.
My mother passed away in 2019, and once I had finished making my house and the unfortunate passing of my mother, I suddenly had time. And I almost felt like she was helping me, sort of like pushing me to write it. So I just, boom, in the summer of 2019, by the end of the year, I'd finished writing.
These sort of undercurrents when we grieve, they make us do things. Or they take us in a direction that we hadn't anticipated, right?
So I finished writing it in 2019 and I showed it to Hafzi. And Hafzi immediately said, let's make this film.
Omar was an award-winning advertising creative director and has since made the leap into filmmaking. His advertising resume is unmatched, with many standout ads such as the Aqua Mangos ad for Nestle and the groundbreaking Royal Jordanian ad in 2017. The advertisements he's worked on have won more than 50 awards, including 5 Grand Prix. In 2023, Omar switched gears and realized his childhood ambition of becoming a film director. Voy Voy Voy, which was a massive box office hit and won 16 awards globally, was Egypt's official selection for the Oscars. Omar is one of those people who discovered early on what he wanted to do in life. He started out as a photojournalist at the Ahram Weekly while he was still at university in Cairo in the 90s.
Then my brother moved to Italy to work at ART. Remember ART television?
Yes, of course.
And my mother was really after my meal. Go be with your brother, because she was kind of concerned that I was falling too much in love with a girl here, and I was going to talk about marriage, and I was like 21.
And you were very young, yeah.
So she's like, get out. And I did go, and Italy was fantastic. So I was a director of the sports news and the top 20 music show at ART.
Fun.
Yeah.
In Rome?
Near Rome.
Rome.
In a city called Avezzano. And it was fantastic. It was finally me and my brother living, earning, and living in Italy. Italy's beautiful.
It's amazing.
It's got everything.
You're young, you're working, you're having fun.
Yeah, food and
women and fun. Yeah.
So
it should be at that age.
Yeah, it was fantastic. We used to take the train or the car to Rome every weekend and shop and eat and go out.
Nice.
Whatever.
So that didn't last long, though.
No, because quite honestly, I felt like I was burning with, so I had this passion that I can do more. And I felt like this is going to be comfortable because ART was comfortable, but I didn't feel like it was going to propel my career the right way. And I was making very good money as a photographer.
So you could have carried on that track for a while and you would have been fine.
And I did not want that.
And at this point, you're what, 22?
I'm 22.
So you decided to pull the plug.
Yeah, I decided to pull the plug because I remember even telling my brother at the time, I said, Ahmed, if I've got an iota of something, I want to give it to Egypt. And I don't want to give it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, and I said, I remember Bardo thinking that I would like to be remembered as the guy who radically changed advertising. The language, the humor of it, that I thought that would be a lifetime goal. But with the help of some really good folks at Leo Burnett, which was the next step.
Which is your next step.
We managed to do it within 5-6 years.
And you made that next step in a kind of a strange happenstance way, right?
I was watching a football game in the World Cup of 98 with France. And sitting next to me was Jean Trabulsi, who was the MD of Leo Burnett. And we were both cheering for France. And
this is in Rome?
No, this is here.
Back here.
Here.
Okay.
With my friend Hamdallah, who I went with Hamdallah because Hamdallah used to work at Burnett. He was in the account department at the time. But anyway, we met Jean, and Jean and I clicked immediately. And he goes, listen, Procter & Gamble are looking for a producer. Maybe you should apply for the
But
job.
were you still at ART or had you left?
I'd come back here doing some sort of like
You were in between. You were trying to figure out stuff. Okay. But you knew that phase was over.
Oh, yeah, I did.
See, I find that interesting because at the age of 22, to have that self-awareness is quite unusual. When I remember myself at 22, I was just happy that someone was employing me.
No,
and I didn't really care.
You see,
whatever.
I wanted to be a filmmaker since I was
from the beginning,
incredibly young.
So you knew your path, what you wanted it to be.
Yeah, I've said the story before. It might sound boring, but I was in Paris with my mother at the age of 12 and a half, and my brother, and Tour Eiffel had 100 years written on it.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, no, come here, closer, no. And I, was moving the camera around. And then I took the photo and I said, Mom, I think I know what I want to do. I want to tell stories with pictures. I mean, I said it like that.
At the age of 12?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I knew I wanted to tell stories with pictures. And then there was Empire magazine, which was coming out at the time. And I used to read that like a Bible.
Yep.
I was reading it.
Yep.
أخلصها وأقراها تاني. أقرا reviews أفلام بس.
Yeah.
So it became my schooling. So I was very passionate. I knew what I wanted to do. So anything that sort of came in the way, I wanted to.
It was a stepping stone, or you knew that it was temporary.
Yeah, I don't want to rest.
Yeah.
So no, ART was enough for this period. I'll move on.
And when you moved into advertising and you began with Leo Burnett, or was in your mind also the end goal is film?
Yes.
Or it wasn't, or had you kind of deviated by that?
No, never deviated. Okay. It was to direct. I wanted to direct. This was all towards directing. But then you get carried away.
Sure.
So I fell into advertising. I was asked to go to be a producer at Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble, the interview apparently didn't go well. They didn't say you're accepted. I later learned that they thought that I was gonna be too much trouble because I'm creative for the job.
Too creative for them.
Yeah.
Because Procter & Gamble have very strict parameters of what they like. Yeah.
So Jean said, well, if Procter doesn't want you, come over to Burnett. So I became a producer there, and I remember saying, but Jean, I'm not just a producer, I'm he called me, okay, we'll call you creative producer. So it doesn't exist.
Doesn't mean anything.
But I was creative producer for a while, and then great man who changed the course of my life, Bishara Muzannar, who was the regional creative director, came to Cairo 4 months later, and he's known for his poker face. And I said, Bishara, I want to tell you about these two ideas that I have, but I want to tell you privately because. So I tell him these two ideas for two brands, LG and Tang. And he kept that poker face, and at the end of it, he goes, Omar, you're not a producer, you're a writer. Tomorrow you start becoming in the creative department, not a producer. And you can continue producing for the agency, but
that's where I want you.
But that's where I want you.
Yeah.
And then I became a writer up to being a creative.
And in these situations, you think in Arabic?
Both.
Yani when you're writing or
when I'm writing, I'm thinking in English mostly.
You are, huh?
Yeah.
Because I always ask this question of people who are writers, because I find it really interesting to know what language they think in, they dream in, they create in.
English.
Yeah. Okay.
I think in English. Yeah, sure I think in English.
Because the humor in Arabic is so different.
Yeah, but هو أنا أعتقد إنه maybe I have this thing where it's becomes in a way universal. Yani, I know we're going to talk about the film.
Yes, because Voy Voy Voy,
it spoke to everybody.
And well, it's also so Egyptian humor. Yeah. I mean, it's hilarious, but حد في North Dakota مش هيفهمها.
لا, you'll be surprised.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, when I took that film to various places around the world, including America a few times, they laugh.
They get it.
Yeah.
They laugh at the right points.
Yeah, they laugh at the right points. I mean, not every joke, but they get it.
But it's interesting. So up until now, you're writing in English?
I don't, when writing a new script, I don't have Arabic on my keyboard.
Okay.
So I go on this website that's genius called Yemli. You know Yemli?
No.
Yemli is genius. So you go in and you write your Arabic English. That Ahmed A7MED.
Okay. It's English letters, يعني.
Yeah, you write in English, هو بيقلبها.
Interesting.
بيقلبها لك عربي.
Yeah.
So I wrote the 3 films that I wrote I wrote on Yamli.
How interesting.
Yeah, which is a process.
It's another way of thinking. It's almost its own language, actually.
لا هو أنا بكتب بالعربي في الحالة دي. I'm writing in Arabic.
Yes.
But
phonetically, it's in English. Yeah.
And I think in English. Yeah, when the idea is in creation, I'm writing the idea in English.
Okay.
Like it's about three men who are doing blah, 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 blah. I write it in English. Then I develop it in Arabic.
But for example, we're going to talk about it in more depth. Your Aqua Mango ad for Nestle. It can only have been written in Arabic.
No, and that one I helped. I wrote that script with the creative who initially had the idea.
Okay,
but he had an idea that was like that big, and I said, no, you know what? Let's make it that big.
I understand.
I extended it and added all of
and it's all a process anyway. You're never going to get it immediately on paper as it is.
Some scripts come to you and they're perfect the way they are.
You talked to me at one point when we were preparing for this about Riyadh 3-week stint, and that obviously is a catalyst for what came later.
Yes.
What happened there?
Back at the time, we used to shoot film.
Yeah.
Right? So we used to do something called telecine or color grading in London. Because London's the best place to do it. So I was going to do a job there, and people from the Jeddah office of Leo Burnett said, hey, you're going, take this commercial for Tide, do the grading for us, and bring back the tape to Beirut. Are you going to pay for this trip? Yeah. All right. I love Beirut.
Sure.
Let's go. So I did that. I go to Beirut. And while I'm there, I wanted to see Bishara, whom I love very much, and Farid Shihab, who were the two biggest ranks, but we were friends.
This is in Leo Burnett.
This is in Leo Burnett, Beirut.
Yeah.
So I pop into the office. They didn't know I was there. I was like, hey, oh my God, let's go have lunch. So the three of us go have lunch downstairs. And we're sitting down, we're laughing. And then I say something in Saudi because I can speak Saudi.
Of course.
So Farid laughs, says, you speak. So Bishara says, yeah, he grew up there.
Yeah.
So suddenly Farid becomes very serious. He goes,
you need to go.
Swears in Lebanese. Why didn't anybody tell me? بتروح الرياض? And at the time I had broken up with my fiance, and I said,
a change is not a bad thing.
Yeah, why not? Even though I was doing really good, I said, I'll go. But, and I was so stupid. I said, I'll take my salary in dollars, which was my Egyptian salary in dollars, which was nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, go.
Sure.
I literally went back to Cairo the next day, and the CEO called me from Dubai, Omar. 3 weeks later, a month later, I was on a plane to Riyadh.
And it was meant to be a permanent position.
I was meant to be the creative director of the Riyadh office.
Was it an office that was opening?
No, the office was there for about a year, and they had just won the account for STC, which is the biggest account in the Middle East. And I had won. I was part of the team that won, but I was instrumental on the account. I had won Mobinil for Burnett.
Right.
And before that, I was part of the team that won Click for Burnett.
Right.
So I was had a good track record with telecom.
Yep.
I was very young. I was 26. And life was good.
This is way back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So literally as the plane was landing, I was like,
had you been back to Riyadh?
No.
You hadn't?
No. And Riyadh 2002 is not Riyadh now. No. Now it's a lot more fun.
Absolutely. It's happening.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool.
Absolutely.
No. So as the plane landed, I was like, have I done the right thing? And I left 3 weeks later.
What happened in those 3 weeks?
I realized that I was not doing the right thing for myself. I was going to be a little socially bored.
Yeah. You had FOMO also, maybe.
And I admit that I am not a very good boss.
Fair enough.
I'm a good director because people will have to listen to what I say.
Yeah. But you don't want to manage people.
I don't want to manage people.
I know.
I had people coming in and going, oh, that guy, he's telling me, and I'm like, I used to bring them both كده اللي هو زي المدرس قول له مشكلتك.
Yeah.
حلوها.
Deal with it together.
Deal.
Yeah. I'm like that. I can't stand managing people.
So I was not I don't think I was a good manager, and I felt homesick, and I felt like I was doing good in Cairo. I should go back.
Yeah.
So I went back, and this friend of mine, Caroline, said, Omar, always wanted to be a director.
Mm.
Why don't you do it? Why don't you
Yeah,
direct
yeah,
now? I
yeah.
was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should. Maybe I should do that. Because I was directing behind the
Mm.
directors that used to shoot our ads. Because I used to work with a lot of English or Italian directors who used to come and shoot the ads.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't speak to the actors. So I would be telling the actors what to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I did not consider that directing. I was just simply telling the actor what to do.
Yep.
But it was directing.
It was in effect direct. So you're someone who's always trusted your instinct.
Yeah.
You've gone with your gut. You've gone with what feels right for you.
Yeah.
And it's worked for
But
you.
not in a pompous way. I wasn't doing it because I know what to do.
No, but it's
Everything that
about
I've
your
done
own...
in my life, I was like, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah, but I mean, it's directed your path. And you've listened to yourself, A lot of people know that there's something they should be doing, but they don't because they just feel, I have to be on this journey.
Yeah.
But you've listened to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have, and I was always chasing it,
Yeah.
single-minded.
Yeah. So 2014, what happened?
So 2014 was a year of, I guess it was, the beginning of it was really good because this commercial we talked about, Mangoes, won I can't remember, but something like 15 awards around the world.
I want to ask you something, Omar, before you carry on. When you were working as a director in advertising, were you always with Leo Burnett, or
No.
did you freelanced so you could work with anybody, right?
Yeah, I shot commercials around the world.
Okay. Because you've been only talking about Leo Burnett.
No, Burnett was my writing stint.
I see. Okay. And then as a director, you worked with other people.
For everybody.
Okay, got it.
I even shot commercials in Chinese.
Did you really?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, in 2014, I signed with a company called Great Guns in London.
Okay.
So the Swimming Mangoes won at the London International Festival. I won a prize for best director.
Mm-hmm.
And I contacted the head of the jury. Her name is Laura Gregory. She is the CEO and owner of Great Guns. I said, I want representation. And they have a global.
Yeah.
They have
they're an
offices
agency.
Yeah.
They're a talent agency.
Yeah. They've got offices from Tokyo to LA.
Right.
And she goes, I'd love to take you on. Of course. Yeah. So the first gig we got was for Tiger Beer.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Which is from Singapore.
Yeah.
So we shot this thing for Tiger Beer, and it won immediately. It won the Grand Prix of the Creative Circle in Asia. So it did really well.
And an ad like that is done in English?
No, it was in Chinese.
Oh, it is in Chinese.
It was a Chinese man speaking.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was because I didn't know what he was saying, and I had I had one of the creatives. He was supposed to be telling me what's going on, and apparently the guy was repeating. He didn't say it right, and I kept saying pause here and ponder there, but he seemed like he was. I said, "Is he saying the right sentence?" He said, "No, he's saying the different sentence." I was like,
okay.
For the last 15 minutes, we've been saying the wrong sentence.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it has its little bumps. But
of course. So what else happened in 2014? I had
a divorce. So that was in 2014.
You had been married for how long?
7 years.
7 years. You have a lovely girl.
Bless her. This is the best thing about my life or that marriage.
Of course. Thank God for our children.
طبعا.
Absolutely.
طبعا. And yeah, so I opened the company in May of 2014 called Goat production company. So I partnered with a friend of mine called Hussein. We started Goat in 2014.
What did Goat stand for? Why Goat?
معزة.
I know, but ليه?
But not the greatest. Not the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
ما اعرفش بحب النعيس.
انت ولا هو؟
أنا.
That's funny.
I was sort of on my way in to create a company. I felt like Hussein was on his way out. So
you wanted different things out of it.
Yeah. So 6 months later, in the fateful November of 2014, I broke the company. We فضينا الشركة. I got my divorce. And I bought this house. So it was
everything happened
new
in 1 month.
beginnings
ending and beginnings in 1 month.
Yeah, and I signed for Great Guns in November. So November 2014.
That's really interesting.
I don't know. I want to know the stars.
Yeah, it's interesting that happened all in one.
Yeah, in 2 weeks.
Yeah. That's super interesting. The production company was meant to focus on film. Oh, on ads, on advertising. Okay.
So what happened is that when you do ads and you do them successfully, it's tempting.
course.
You want to stay in it because
Well, you're finding your rhythm, right?
how come in? Every year I would do an ad, and starting from 2009, Ali and I had done a campaign that won the Grand Prix.
The panda one?
No.
That was his alone.
Ali. No, we did a Coca-Cola campaign.
Okay.
Which was an idea that he had, and I took that idea and developed it quite differently, and he loved it. He said, I love that. So he wanted to do one ad. I said, no, we do 4. It was about the national anthems of certain countries, and we rewrote them to be football anthems.
Nice.
Yeah, it was very funny.
Yeah.
And we went to the Dubai Links, not knowingly, and we're sitting down, and we thought we didn't win. But then came the announcement, and the chairman of the jury said, this commercial is for a big brand. And every time he watched one of the commercials, I grabbed Ali. I said, "Fuck, it's us," and he said Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Leaping in the air with joy. It was amazing. So when you start getting in that rhythm of winning every year. It wasn't every year at the time, but
it becomes
every other year.
It's an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, you're winning gold or Grand Prix, which I was lucky to do a few times. You get hooked on. You get hooked, and it's financially good. So
it's a great business to be in when you're at the top. Yeah. What did you learn looking back on it? Because you clearly gave me the date of 2014 as being something important for you. What did you learn from that month or that year? Why are we talking about it today?
Yeah. That you could be traveling in a straight line and thinking everything is perfect, but you could be sorely mistaken.
Mm-hmm. But also a positive thing came of it, which is we're in your lovely house. You bought it that same time.
Yeah.
So maybe it's that one bad thing, one good thing.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a balance, there's a yin and yang to life, right?
I think that the last 10 years, it's been 10 years, have been the best. But that's an accumulation of many various things.
Of course. No, but it's interesting for me when someone points out to either one month or one event that's seismic.
Yeah.
And you clearly took the experience from that period and it shaped you going forward.
Backs to the wall, and you have to face all of this and do this and furnish the house and change this and do that.
And then since then, has there been any period that has replicated that time for you? Because you mentioned now you've had 10 great years.
I think again, 2024, 10 years later, was massive. I mean, last year was life-changing. That's after the release of
Voy Voy Voy. Let's talk about the movie before we go into the effects of that. Fantastic story. Absolutely fantastic. So when we started talking today, we were talking about how social media has impacted our children negatively.
Yeah.
So my younger son is football crazy.
Right.
So he knew about the movie, hadn't seen it, but he knew exactly what was happening in the film. So we watched it together. And I told him, you put your phone outside, your telephone, and you watch the movie with me and Hatem. So we watched it. And he just kept, he was so into it. Nice. It's such a great story. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's a true story, part of it.
The event is true.
Yeah. And what made you land on this as?
Well, I was on Facebook scrolling and I found this piece of news being shared by a bunch of people.
Right.
And 12 people or 13 people pretended to be blind and are on the loose in Poland.
It is hilarious. So funny.
Yeah. And I was with my friend in the car and I said, I've just found my film.
Yeah.
This is the film.
You knew it immediately.
I said, this is the film I'm going to make.
How much earlier than when you actually began the movie did you come to that realization?
Well, I saw that piece of news in 2016, I think.
Okay. So you had the idea.
So I would write bits of it and leave it.
Sure.
I was still busy with adverts.
Yeah. So it was your hobby or your passion on the side.
I'd always actually write on an airplane. I find writing on an airplane very, I don't know, airplanes inspire me.
Planes are a very interesting idea. A lot of people have written about planes.
Crying.
Well, planes you're completely cocooned.
Yeah.
You're you're completely cut off in time and space.
Yeah.
So it allows you to suddenly be flooded by all kinds of things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, you know about crying on airplanes. If you
No.
watch a movie,
You always cry.
cry like crazy.
Yeah. Well, you're letting out so much.
No, it's apparently attached to fight or flight. You know, you're actually thinking that you might die, and that increases your.
Interesting.
I don't.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it could be.
Yeah.
I hate flying, so anything makes me cry on a plane.
So, so I kept writing and leaving it, writing it and leaving it, and then my mother passed away in 2019, and once I had finished making my house, and the unfortunate passing of my mother, I suddenly had time, and I almost felt like she was helping me, you know, sort of like pushing me to write it. So I just boom in like in the summer of 2019. By the end of the year, I'd finished writing. Voy,
I
Voy,
wonder
Voy.
why that is. Maybe it was a way of processing what had happened, right?
Maybe
You needed that solitary time, maybe.
Yeah, and I genuinely feel like, hey,
I think there's a lot of like not misunderstood, but these sort of undercurrents when we grieve.
Yeah.
They make us do things.
Yeah.
Or they take us in a direction that we hadn't anticipated,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And so I finished writing it in 2019, and I showed it to Hafzi, and Hafzi immediately said, yeah, let's make this film. But then COVID happened and all of that.
And talk to me about the effects of the film when it came out.
Well, it was again like that night of winning the Grand Prix. We were in Dubai with the premiere of the film in Dubai. We had done the premiere here, and it went unbelievable. And 4 days later, we were doing the premiere in Dubai, and my friend Mariam Naoum, who was on the jury that selects the film for the Oscars, and she texts me. So when I saw a text from her, and we were about to start the film, I was like, "Why is Mariam Naoum texting me? This could be good news."
Yeah.
Boom, she says, "Mabruk." And oh wow, you know,
what a feeling, and it's your first movie.
Yeah, we were leaping with joy again. And then that journey. So when you take a film and you try and land a nomination, you have to do so much work with a lot of money.
It's almost its own beast, right? It's a completely different kind of work.
Massive thing.
It's huge.
I mean, the nominations are out now, and I was reading about how Angelina Jolie did not get a nomination, but she's been campaigning. I mean, Angelina Jolie campaigning in Hollywood still didn't get it.
She's an insider.
Imagine you're like this small film from Cairo, you know. But the reactions that I saw in New York, in LA, in London, because we had to do the 3 cities where the members of the Academy are. Wow.
But it's a story that's universal. At the end of the day, you set it in Egypt, but the stories are universal. Whenever it's a human interest story, whenever there's this passion and it's funny. I mean, humor will get you everywhere.
Yeah.
At the end, it's all about humor.
Yeah, I think the funny aspect of it helps people because it actually makes you laugh and cry.
Yeah.
Which is not very common or also easy. And that people were reacting. I mean, Sarah Jessica Parker was one of the people who saw it in New York, and I was with her, and she was so nice, and she gave me the warmest hug.
Yeah.
And same happened in LA with people who had won Oscars, were like holding me and saying great stuff.
Amazing. Okay, so I'm going to throw out some questions at you or some statements, and you just whatever comes to your mind, okay? So, viral clip or long-form narrative?
Long form.
Okay, generalist or specialist?
Specialist.
Group work or solitary pursuits?
Group work.
If you had to choose another profession, what would it be?
Zoologist, archaeologist, chef.
In that order?
Yeah.
Okay. Zoologist, well, your new movie is obviously with animals.
Yeah.
And archaeologist, why?
I particularly like the pursuit of knowing all of these structures around the world. Why are they there? And that's really where I want to.
Is there a history interest there? Or
I am absolutely fascinated by the pyramids. around the world and obviously ours.
Yeah.
And I'd love to know why they existed.
Okay. And chef, you have a beautiful kitchen set up here. What do you like to cook?
My favorite is Indian. I like to cook Indian, but I cook all sorts of stuff. I cook Italian.
And you follow recipes
Chinese.
Or you like to improvise?
I follow recipes.
You're a recipe guy.
No,
okay.
I'm a recipe guy.
What's your favorite activity?
Cooking.
And you obviously you entertain a lot. You have friends over dinner, stuff like that. Okay. What's your least favorite activity?
Least favorite activity? That's something that I have to do.
Yes.
I hate Zoom calls.
Yeah, I get that. I understand. Well, we had so many of them over COVID, right?
I hate them.
And it's become the norm now.
I hate them.
Yeah,
I
know.
hate them. I like a meeting to happen in person.
Yeah.
I hate Zoom calls.
I think so. I like that too. Last two questions. I'm going to say the beginning of a sentence and you end it. Okay. I have a hard time
making movies.
That's not the right answer. Leo Omar.
Movies are so hard to make. Yeah. You have no idea.
Why?
Because there's so many people to convince of various things. It's not easy, particularly trying to get actors on board a film.
But you're talking about before you begin.
Yeah.
Once you're in
and and while you're making it, it's hell. You're answering a million questions as the director.
Yeah.
And I wear the producer's hat as well, so I have to think of the money.
Sure. But it's worth it, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't choose anything else.
Okay, last thing. I get joy from?
Layla.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you, Omar.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was my conversation with the director Omar Hilal. On a special bonus episode out next week, Omar will tell me more about the advertising world as well as about the new movie he's working on. If you're enjoying the show, please consider becoming a member of What I Did Next. You can get started with a 2-week free trial and get instant access to our members' episodes as well as our special segment, Encore. This is a segment where I check in with some of your favorite alumni guests. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Malak Fuad, and the show is produced by Chirag Desai. You can find video versions of our episodes on YouTube and on Spotify, and leave us a comment in your podcast app or on Instagram as well. I'll see you next week.